The astronaut was horrified to discover that her glove had been accidentally torn by the spikes on the protective panel. If she were exposed to the vacuum of space, her lungs would most likely explode due to expansion. The entire staff at the Space Center were terrified. At this moment, her teammate Jack told the woman not to move and then carefully cut off the spikes. Before a large amount of oxygen escaped from the spacesuit, Jack quickly took the woman back to the space station. But just as Jack finally brought the woman safely into the spacecraft, he suddenly saw a beam of magical light. As a result, he forgot to close the hatch of the space station in time, putting the woman in danger. After this incident, the woman almost lost her life due to Jack's actions. At this time, the leader questioned Jack about what he had seen that made him disregard the life safety of his colleagues. Jack said he saw aliens, but no one believed him. The leader believed that Jack was hallucinating, so he decided to no longer allow him to engage in spaceflight work. Not long after, the Soviet Salyut 7 space station suddenly stopped working. If the space station remained in a shutdown state for a long time, it would crash to Earth. If it fell in a densely populated area, the consequences would be unimaginable. In order to avoid being laughed at by the United States and Western countries, the Soviet Union decided to send astronauts to space to repair the space station. If it couldn't be repaired, they would use a missile to blow up the space station. But the consequence of doing so would be that the space station would produce a large amount of debris, and all the satellites in orbit would suffer. This would set back their country's space technology by at least 10 years. Everyone dared not delay for a moment and quickly looked for experienced astronauts. They tried to dock with the space station in a simulator, but because the space station was rotating on 2 axes, manual docking was extremely difficult. No matter how many times these astronauts tried, they did not succeed. Even the commander's personal operation did not succeed. Helplessly, he could only find Jack, who had been previously fired, and hope that he could risk his life to dock with the space station and then repair it. In this way, Jack and his teammate Mike flew into space together on a spacecraft. During this time, he still hoped to see that beam of light again. After the boosters completely separated, the two arrived in space. Jack only had 3 chances to dock with the space station. He carefully moved the joystick. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, he began his first docking. However, the first docking still failed. After all, many astronauts had tried hundreds of times in the simulator without a single success. At this moment, the commander told Jack to rest for a while. He decided to discuss a new plan with everyone. Jack's teammate Mike calculated the data and realized that their spacecraft needed to increase its speed by 3 times at a distance of 110 meters from the space station to have a chance of docking. But if the docking failed, the spacecraft would be smashed, and the 2 of them would lose their lives.